All right, welcome in everybody to the W Podcast, our first ever live stream podcast episode. I hope you all are excited. So for those of you who may be just joining for the first time or just tuning in, my name is Jimothy. That's going to be the nickname I have chosen for today. Now, I'll just say that if you've ever seen the movie starring Will Ferrell about a minor league ABA is what it was, right?
Yeah.
So ABA team where they got to choose their own nicknames. That might be what it is for me. So this week I'm Jimothy, joined by our co-host Tubby.
Dude, what is up, folks?
As far as nicknames go, that might be one of my favorite that I've ever heard.
I mean, it's kind of like a running nickname for the guys in my family. So I mean, it was my dad's nickname in high school, and people, let's call us Tubby out of the blue. So I figured, why not? Let's run with it.
It's pretty solid. Now, I will say there is probably one other nickname that's a little bit better. And what was it? It's from that movie. What was it?
Downtown Funky Stuff Malone.
I'm telling you that if I could fit that on a banner, I would. It's a pretty incredible one. So anyways, this podcast is a very good sports podcast. That's just kind of what we do. Devin, I said the name. I'm sorry. I'm so used to it now at this point. But anyway, so Tubby and myself, Jimothy here, we have been a part of this podcast for over a year now. We're actually getting closer to a year and a half, believe it or not. And we finally got up the courage, I'll say, just the willpower and the understanding of technology to go ahead and do a live stream. So we're super excited for this today. And this is going to be kind of a unique thing. So as you're tuning in, whether this is your first time, you've been listening for a while, or you just happen to scroll across some sports content and you're like, you know what, I'm tired of listening to those people I've listened to for years, have the same opinions on the same people every single time I listen. And you know what? That's not what we're about. So here at the W Podcast, you're just going to hear really great content about sports, primarily the NFL, college football, as well as some college softball and basketball here and there, but also Major League Baseball and some major stories in the sports world as they happen. So if it is your first time, I just wanted you to get to know the host a little bit. So again, my name right now is Jimothy until that changes. Otherwise, it is Jimothy. I am from the KCMO area. Love the Kansas City Chiefs and the St. Louis Cardinals. They're just two great franchises. So those are the teams I'm going to be repping. But like my co-host Tubby over here, I'm going to have to get used to that, Tubby. But Boomer, Sooner all the way. Love the Oklahoma Sooner program. And that's why I say we will even branch out outside the college football world, because the Sooners are great across the board. I mean, they were in the College World Series last year, also won the College World Series in softball again. I mean, just beautiful. What a school. So anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
It's hard not to talk about OU softball when they're that good. I mean, you just have to.
Yeah. I mean, they are great. And, Jocelyn Oslo is headed back.
Yeah. He's going to the OKC Spark.
I'm kind of sad.
Why?
Well, because she was here, man. She was in Kansas City.
Was she? I thought she was in Jacksonville.
Well, she was here originally. She was
okay.
Original. I don't know. I didn't know what the other trades were until I guess she went over there. I haven't been keeping super.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So all right. So Tubby, you got to give us your teams. You got to give us where you're out of. I mean, we got to know a little bit more about you.
Well, I'm from, I guess you could say, the Claremore, Tulsa area, kind of in between Verdigris, Oklahoma. Then, I mean, I'm a huge Packers fan, Dodgers fan.
That's tough.
I mean, right now the Packers, that is tough. Then, like James said, OU fans, diehard OU fans. I mean, you give us like 5 hours, we could probably talk nonstop about OU sports no matter what. So that's probably where my heart lies the most, is with Oklahoma. But I still love my Packers, and I really love the Dodgers.
Yeah, that's true. And, growing up, so Tubby and I have known each other since 6th grade. And believe it or not, that's more years than we'd like to realize that it has been now. But it's been really good. And some of the best stuff that I remember, man, is you just getting under my skin about Tony La Russa and the Cardinals and some of the decisions he would make. Do you remember, like, we would sit in homeroom for like 10 minutes and we wouldn't do anything else except we'd talk about a call that La Russa made. And for oftentimes it was him doing a double swap where a position change and a pitching change at the same time in extra innings, to where he put a pitcher behind Albert Pujols. And you'd be like, he never does this, man. This is because you knew it'd get under my skin. It used to bug the crap out of me because I'm like, you tell me I don't know my team.
Oh yeah, and then there's still times I'll text him just random things, but just because I know I can try to get under his skin just a little bit. But he's kind of caught on to that now, where he's like, I know what you're doing. I know you're just trying to get under my skin. So I mean, it's still fun. But yeah, I mean, we used to get in trouble. Be like, all right, you guys just need to settle down. You're getting a little too amped up about it. We're like, why not?
I think it's fine. That's what sports
we
do.
like it.
Sports get you amped up. And so if you're going to get amped up and you want a really great sports movie, Tubby, what is it that you specifically want to go and watch? And this doesn't have to be a comedy or anything like that. It's just specifically you want to get amped up for sports.
My favorite all time, and then this goes all time movies too, is Hoosiers.
That is a good one. But it's just surprising that's the choice.
Why? I mean, growing up, we were basketball. Basketball was our thing, and so I would probably watch that movie at least once a month.
Wow.
Yeah, because I don't know, there's something about it, like it just kind of spoke to me when I was younger, and so that's always been my favorite movie is Hoosiers. Out of any movie, that's my favorite go-to movie.
That's a pretty solid movie. For me, it was always Friday Night Lights, the movie. Absolutely brought me back to just playing on Friday night. I loved it. It's so good. You can't go wrong with Remember the Titans either, though. Denzel Washington as a coach, incredible. There's lots of movies. Right now, our producers in the background like, absolutely, keep them going. Come on now. Come on.
Yeah. Most of mine are I love the basketball movies. Glory Road, Coach Carter.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's really too many good ones, but has there been one that you're like, I know I've seen it, but I probably won't ever watch it again?
I don't know. I've watched quite a bit.
There's a lot.
I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head that I'm just like, I could do without. Honestly, I can't think of one.
So I watched this one probably within the last 4 months, and I hadn't seen it probably in almost 10 years. And it was that one with The Rock where he goes to prison. The juvenile prison, I guess, and I can't remember what it's called. Is it Gridiron Gang?
Yeah, that
one.
That one's it.
It's good, but it's very predictable. It's not one that I need to necessarily see. But I like La Rock in it, so I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of that one. It's something I've watched, but it's not something I go, man, I need to watch that again. Like a lot of the other ones.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, well, if it is, again, your first time here or you've been listening to the podcast for a while, we thank you. We thank you for joining us. We're going to get into some of the nitty gritty. If you saw the description, you can see a little bit of the notes that we are going to talk about today. Now, other than that, feel free to throw a question in the chat, whether that's about your fantasy football team. Maybe it's about a question or topic you have, like, how about them Cowboys or something like that? That's fine. We'll talk about it. There's a chance that we will do our best to get your question on the podcast. So feel free to put that in the chat. We would love to kind of include you all in on this. And this is something new. So we're excited to see where this goes. I don't know. I'm going to have to get a cool background, just got to get some in the background, maybe some St. Louis Cardinal stuff, or just do it on location at Busch Stadium. I think that'd be incredible.
I'm down for that. Okay. I'll meet you there.
But baseball heaven right there. That's where it's at.
I mean, I guess that's close enough to baseball heaven. It's still out west in Los Angeles, but yeah.
Ugh, man, it's hot there. It's it's hot in St. Louis too, but I mean, come on, it's baseball. It's just great. So,
it is one of the 3 oldest stadiums in baseball. So,
I know. Isn't that crazy when you think about it? Like after all this time, it still is.
Yeah.
Kansas City Royals, they're going to get a new stadium here coming up soon. I'm so excited as a baseball fan. Living in Kansas City, you give me downtown baseball, nothing like it.
Yeah. I mean, have you seen the renderings for the new Tropicana?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's still the dome with the catwalks on the top.
It's still ugly.
Yeah, I'm like, you would think that you would try to find a way to pencil that out because who wants to hit a ball and go, oh, wait, you're the outfielder trying to find the ball. Oh, wait, it's, falling 10 feet in front of me because it hit the catwalk.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing. We have the technology. What are we doing? Okay.
Yeah.
We know how to do a retractable roof, or please just don't have a roof on a baseball stadium. I just don't like it. I understand it's hot. It's rainy. Figure it out. Deal with it. It's fine.
Yeah,
not a big deal.
Seriously.
I can't handle it. So, we're actually about to officially start the podcast. So if you didn't know, there's thewpodcast.com. You can actually find our podcast there, or you can go online to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to good podcasts. Those are primarily the two places I would listen to them. You can download our podcast, subscribe there. You can even rate it, which we do appreciate, so more people can see, hey, this is good quality sports content. So we're going to start that here. And so if you don't always have time for the full video or to tune in live, that's okay. You can actually, again, listen to it on your headphones on the car ride home or wherever it is that you're listening to podcasts. Preferably, that's when I listen to my sports podcast. It's in the car. So you ready, Devin? Are you ready, Tubby?
Let's do it. Oh, Tubby is ready.
Tubby's ready. Jimothy, ready to go. So we're going to go 3, 2, 1, fire. Boom. All right, welcome everybody back to the W Podcast. Tubby here along with Jimothy. That's right. You heard some new nicknames. And if you didn't already know, the podcast is live on YouTube every single Monday night. You want to tune in, follow us on Twitter or Instagram if you haven't already. It's something new. It's exciting. And hey, maybe you're listening to this and you always like, but I have this question or I have this idea that I would love to hear from these two hosts to just pick their brains about, because that's what this podcast is about. It's about people like you and me just getting together and talking sports, because that is what makes America great. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't think people realize that. Like, I'm sure my dad, he's big into sports and everything too, and we talk a lot. But then there's times where I'm like, I just keep on rambling and rambling and rambling. I'm like, you would think after doing the podcast for a year or whatever, that throughout the week I'd be like, okay, we're good. You know, I'll save it all for Monday. No, it's just it just comes out. I can't help it. It's just, you know, part of me. So this helps a lot, but still during the week there's a lot that my dad has to listen to me rambling about random stuff.
But does he ever ramble though himself? Like, is he?
Oh yeah.
Rambling? Oh, see, that's fine.
Oh, yeah.
It's give and take. It's what it's about.
Oh yeah, but it's probably more like 80-20, me 80, him 20, because I'm constantly. I'm looking at like stuff on like Twitter and, you know, Bleacher Report, you know, all this stuff, just kind of soaking it all in, trying to be up to date. And then I'll see something and be like, whoa, did you see this? Or, you know, and then I'll start rambling on, and yeah, it snowballs.
It does snowball for sure, but that's a good snowball, you know.
Oh yeah,
especially this time of year. I will say that if you didn't already know, we do have a Twitter as well, and we do have an Instagram. You can follow that, or YouTube. Honestly, just follow somewhere. I mean, that'd be great. We love that. We love to engage. But the biggest thing is the YouTube is going to allow you to ask questions in real time where we can actually answer them. So feel free to jump in and do that. Our YouTube page is at the W at the.w sports podcast. It's pretty easy to find. You can just the W podcast YouTube to find it. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
So we're gonna jump right on in, and we're gonna start like we do almost every single week, is with college football, and we have a new Heisman Trophy winner, and we all expected it. It was Caleb Williams, but the biggest news that came out of this was his humility. Am I right?
I mean, you say humility, I guess. I honestly, man, I don't know, and I don't want to be like sound like this, you know, still upset Oklahoma fan. He left, and so I'm okay with him leaving. I wasn't mad that he left. It was the way that Lincoln Riley left. So
for sure,
just getting that straight. But what made me laugh was when they were, you know, doing the interview with him and the family, and he's just like, they asked him, what's, you know, what's the best thing you've seen out of your son or whatever, and she's like, his, you know, how humble he is. I'm like, I've seen, you know, like, you see things at the end of the game where he's like up in the student section, you know, yelling at him, you know, doing all this stuff, you know, the painting the fingernails, and then the report comes out before, you know, a couple days before the Heisman Trophy ceremony, and the guy is like, you know, everyone's kind of comparing you to Patrick Mahomes, and he was like, oh yeah, that's a great, you know, I think that's a great comparison, you know. He was like being somewhat humble. Then he goes, but, you know, since high school, I've always thought that there's, you know, what do you say? Since high school, I've always, you know, thought that. And then he goes, well, obviously, you know, Mahomes is, you know, brilliant, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But I've always thought that there's nothing he does on the field that I can't do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, you're telling me as a sophomore in college, you're as good as, you know, or this was even in high school, you're as good as the best quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah. I like that just kind of drives me insane a little bit just because there's no way. Like,
No.
there's nobody who does what Patrick Mahomes does. I know I'm a Chiefs fan. I get that. But let's be honest.
Mhm.
There's nothing that another quarterback can do. And Caleb Williams is maybe the closest that we have in college football.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing is sometimes you just got to walk the walk and say, hey, or talk the talk, excuse me. And you're like, you know what? I appreciate that. I love Patrick Mahomes. He's one of those guys I really try to do the best I can to implement his skill set. And that's almost impossible because the guy's so good. So I really appreciate the compliment. That means a lot. Like, oh, well, that was all you had to say if you want. But again, we're talking about humility here. So maybe he doesn't need it. Maybe swagger is what's going to help him get to the next level, honestly.
I mean, swagger is great and everything for a quarterback to have swagger and all that stuff. But you also have to have humility. You can't just be like, oh, yeah, when I was in high school, I was as good as Patrick Mahomes. There's nothing he could do that I couldn't do. And that's where I'm like,
it's a bold move.
You are a great quarterback. I get that. He deserved the Heisman Trophy and all that. I'm not saying he didn't. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but I think that there's certain points where you just, like you said, you just got to take the compliment and go, yeah, I appreciate that. It's someone I model my game after. You know, I respect his game, but then go, but I'm just as good as him.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, you're a sophomore in college right now. You ain't as good as Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, no. He's not. Good. I mean, hey, USC get another Heisman winner, so that's great to see, for them out west. But I did like that he did say in his speech, it was like, listen, y'all going to go to the playoff and I'm not. And so for him, Heisman's great, and he has definitely that on his resume, and you can't take that away. Oh, is that a good joke? Is that a good joke for the USC Heisman Trophy winner? You can't take it away now.
I mean, you never know. You might be able to.
So it's good. One thing I would say is probably my favorite thing, and for the record, this was way too much of a show for the trophy. Get on. It's so long. I literally can't watch it anymore. It's so long. But the outfits that these guys wore are incredible. I mean, Stetson Bennett looks like he just got off the bus. He's a freshman in high school with the jacket. Yeah. Max Duggan looks like he works. He looks like he's from Texas, man. Like, this was spot on.
He looks like a youth pastor or something.
The youth pastor. Yeah, absolutely. It's at a Methodist church or something like that. It's great. And then, of course, the best was two guys coming in, CJ and Caleb, matching. How great was that?
I mean, I get that you're probably both sponsored by Nike, but come on, you show up in the same exact thing, except for the shoes.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was
embarrassing.
Great. I will say that the Nike outfit that was pretty nice. I would have worn that. That was pretty great. So I guess that's what they were both thinking. Like, I wear this. This is pretty nice. And then you do that whole twins thing. We're like, do you?
Yeah. Hey,
or they're like, are you
what's
kidding
going on? Yeah, I bet you it was probably more like, you serious? We're wearing the same exact. Can't you put us between? Not right next to each other, so it's not as obvious. Yeah. Put us between. Here and there, so we're not. We're standing right next to each other. But yeah, I laughed. I was like, if they didn't know, that's even funnier. If they just showed up and exact same thing.
So good. Now, so before I jump too far ahead of myself, Devin, don't we have a college bowl mania? Right?
We do.
So here, let me go ahead. So one thing, as I pull it up here on the other screen here, did you already fill out your bowl mania?
I did.
How early did you fill them out? I'm curious.
Was it Saturday?
Saturday?
I think so.
Okay. That's not bad.
Yeah, No, I went to go make the page. I tried to create it. And was like, oh, this is already one. I was like, James already made it.
Dude, hold on. I thought you made it.
I didn't make it.
I don't know who made it. Maybe we're gonna say if someone else made it. So we're gonna go ahead.
It said your picture in there, so I was like, or your name was on there, so I was like, James must have made it.
Yeah, no. So I went to go make it. It says, oh, it's already made, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, I guess we'll just do it. So anyway, either way, the W Podcast group is out there, so you can go ahead and make your picks and compete against Devin or Tubby and myself. And we will, of course, see who wins. Now, last year we did have a listener, Quincy. I'm pretty sure it was Quincy who won, right? Or was that March Madness?
Quincy won.
Okay.
Football.
Yeah, very impressive. So I just put that in the chat on the YouTube page. We'll put it in the description as well if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, so you can actually see that as well. But feel free, go ahead, put your picks in there. Man, just doing that was a lot of fun, and I would encourage you. ESPN did do a really good job on their article of predictions. There is some little details of some guys who have opted out, like Eric Gray for OU. Might be beneficial because maybe if Eric Gray was in there, you'd be like, you know what, I got them. They're going to beat Florida State, but now that they're probably going to lose. But also, some of this, even games like Wyoming where their best player is out, stuff like that. So,
yeah,
if you want to just say, hey, who cares? I'm just going to make blind picks based off my gut. Go for it. Go for it. I'm going to see if you can win. Because when do the games start, Devin?
What are they? The 19th, 18th, 19th, something like that. 16th?
16th,
sometime,
Friday. Yes, I just saw. Yeah.
So I knew it was sometime next week.
So that goes into the question. Well, no, that's this week. It's this Friday.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
I know. I just hit the panic meter a little bit on how close we are to Christmas. But yeah, the 16th is this Friday. Are you going to watch Miami of Ohio? It's a Friday, so there's not a whole lot on TV anyways, or the Blazers against UAB?
Yeah, probably. Just because, like I said, there's nothing else on.
That's true. There's never anything on a Friday. I guess it's because you're supposed to be out doing whatever. Now,
yeah.
I will say, I think that UAB might have one of my favorite logos in all of college football.
You like the dragon?
Yeah, I guess it's a dragon, but it is they call it the Blazers. But yeah, it's cool. The green and the orange, it looks so great, and it's not something, boring. Like, honestly, one of my least favorite ones is Florida Gators. It's just boring. I get it, it's the gator. It just, I feel like there's a lot I could do with it, or SMU. Don't like theirs either. But yeah. Anyway, I feel like I'm getting off topic.
Have you seen the new SMU one though? The fancy looking D, and I want to say the ponies like integrated somehow in it. They started wearing them, I think, this year. It's like on a black helmet, I think, with the blue. It's pretty cool.
Let me see if I can see one. No, I don't. I haven't seen that one yet. But with it's the letter D.
Yeah.
For what?
They're
Dallas.
Dallas area. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like that it's different, but I don't like it for me to question it. And I've watched a lot of college football. That might be concerning if I was my school. But I guess if you're in the Dallas area, you're like, oh, obviously Dallas. But
yeah, I thought it was pretty cool little touch on it. And I like the color scheme that they went with.
Oh yeah, that looks good. So that's one of the things we should do when it's off season and not a whole lot of football. We should just go through maybe some. Hey, this is a good decision. This is a bad decision. Did you watch the Army-Navy game this weekend, by the way?
I watched like the last quarter.
Okay, so you saw all the action.
Yeah, because the OU basketball game was on also. And so I watched OU get smoked by Arkansas. But yeah, I watched the good parts of the Army-Navy game.
And it was I do enjoy watching that game each year because it's the only one that's on, so there's not a whole lot of options. But I love it. I'm just curious, do you ever pull for one side?
I pull for the Navy because Quincy was in the Navy, so I figured might as well support his side of it since.
Well, that's good. Don't tell Quincy I support the Army. I go for Army every single time. I just think Black Knights is cooler. I usually like their uniforms better because there's always a special uniform. Didn't care for either teams this year. I don't know if you liked them or not, but the NASA, the astronaut didn't seem. It's just
They were all right. My favorite ones were the ones probably I think it was like 2014, 2015, 2016 Navy, where the aircraft carrier and stuff were on the helmet. When they were all hand painted on each and every single helmet.
Yes,
those are some of my favorite ones that I've seen.
It was 2015. What a memory! Way to go. That was nice. But yes, those were nice. There's a couple the last couple of years that I've really enjoyed. But yeah, I'm glad that they do that. So, did you hear about their coach, Navy's coach?
Yeah, I saw that. And the funny thing is, right, a couple hours or so before that, we were talking about it. Me and my dad and my mom was like, "Man, he's been there for a while. He's had job offers from BYU." I think Oregon State, a couple, decent sized, schools out west and stuff. They, offered him and he stayed there. So I don't know if maybe he just thought, oh, okay, it's time to move on. Maybe kind of getting a little stale. Someone else step in and maybe move the program a little further along. So I was surprised.
I was surprised the way it happened. Like he said, like
Yeah.
if you read the article or read anybody, if you hadn't, he's sitting there in the locker room at the end of the game when it's over, lost in double overtime. Player fumbled it. The senior, I think it's the
Mm-hmm.
senior, absolutely tearful.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a pretty emotional moment. And the athletic director just comes up to him and fires him on the spot. Like, dude, this is your winningest coach of
Oh,
all
wow.
time. What are you doing? This is not the way you handle this. Especially a coach who's, like you said,
Yeah.
he's had offers and he says, no, I want to be here at Navy and equip these men to just go out and to graduate and to continue to have a really solid program that tries to compete to be bowl eligible. But I think Army's won, 3 in a row? And I think that's what did it.
Everyone, yeah. I mean, but the thing is you fire the guy. He won how many in a row up until the last 5 years or so? I think Army's like 5-1 in the last 5, something like that. But yeah, I didn't know that part. I didn't know that they fired him right after the game. That's kind of
sitting in the locker room on a stool.
That's kind of messed up, especially how much that
Super
guy's given to your program.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you just lost pretty much your guys' national championship game every year, because that game means so much to both sides. And you fire him just like that in the locker room. That's kind of messed up.
Yeah, I didn't like it. And even he was like, listen, I think we're in the heat of the moment here. Like he fires back a little bit in the moment, but like to the athletic director. But it's really unfortunate because, like you said, he's been a really good coach and he has done a lot for that team, that program, even though they're not competing for a playoff position. They're competing to win on this Sunday and to have a good team to be bowl eligible. So we'll see who ends up going there. But not a whole lot in college football this week, but we'll have some little news and notes. The one thing I saw a really good meme about the transfer portal, and it had it was 3 quarterbacks. So I assume they were quarterbacks. It could have been any position, but it said first string, second string, and then it had this like guy by himself, and he was like third string, and it said I'm entering the portal, and then because he's third in line, and then he goes to the portal and realizes he's 1,334th in line now. So good luck. Stop transferring so many players.
Oh yeah, it's. I mean, we can get in more into this next week because there's a lot that I think that I've had some thinking, going on, about what's going on and how it's impacting college, high school recruiting,
high school. Yeah,
so,
it's a whole thing.
So I think something we could probably dive into next week a little bit more. But yeah, there's some stuff that I'm shocked by some of the guys that are entering, and then they're like, oh yeah, they're going to go here and they're going to go there. I'm like, to me, it seems like you're wanting to go be a starter, or you're wanting to play, but yet we brought up the statistic last week. I mean, only 40% of you are getting on a team, period, and that's all levels of college football.
Yeah,
you got to think about this. Yeah, you may be third in line. Work your way up. Put in the work.
Work your way up. Absolutely. Yeah. JT Daniels, give it up, dude. Give it up.
I'm still waiting for him to be the first college player ever to play for all Power 5 conferences.
Dude, I am so hopeful for that.
If he can get the extra year, the medical redshirt year, I would just go to one school in the Big Ten and then turn around and the next one go to the ACC or vice versa. That way, you can be the only player ever that I can. I mean, I would think that has to be the only thing ever. Only person to ever do that.
That'd be great. We'll see if it happens. But so again, not a whole lot in the college football world this week, but we are going to move on to the NFL news, and we're going to do it with some passion because our boy, Baker. Man, you know where we're coming on this, because Baker Mayfield, for the record, Devin, we talked about this on the YouTube live stream earlier before we hit record on the podcast, was you love to get under my skin, and you know what it takes to rile me up, get me a little antsy, and that's fine.
Yeah, my friends, fun.
My coworkers, they know, and they know that I have been on record to say that the greatest college football quarterback of all time is Baker Mayfield. Okay, I said it.
I mean, that's bold.
Yeah, and if you don't believe me, go join us next week in the live YouTube, and you can go ahead and put who you think it is. Tim Tebow. I don't care. Please. Football player in college, maybe Tim Tebow. But quarterback, people, is what we're talking about. So obviously he's been terrible. And did I tell you what my friend and we were texting once Baker got released? And he's a Chiefs fan. He said the Chiefs should pick him up to get good morale. He can get a good culture, all this kind of stuff, right? Did I tell you this?
No.
Okay, so this is right after the Chiefs lost to the Bengals. 0-3,
Oh,
Patrick Mahomes. And you know what I thought to myself when he said I immediately Googled something because I was like, I'm pretty sure Baker has beat the Bengals pretty well in his career. And I typed in Baker Mayfield career record against the Bengals. And guess what it is? And he had 8 games.
And how many games? 8 games?
And 8 games. Yeah, same division. So
6-2.
Bingo. So again, if you're just joining the live, if you're on the YouTube right now, you know this is Devin never misses sports trivia, but 6-2. So I said, yeah, you can sign Baker Mayfield, and whenever you play the Bengals, you just start Baker, and then you're probably going to win.
There you go.
Just saying.
That's pretty good,
right? So he lands in Los Angeles Rams, which I think is one of the 2 best spots he could have landed. One because of playing time, and it's completely out west, like all the way out west. You can't get any further away from Cleveland or, in fact, Carolina. So that was good for him. 98-yard drive. Is this really something that's Baker, or is this really just the Oakland Raiders doing what they do best and choking at the end?
So I think there's a good medium. I think it's part of both. But I think that if this situation is able to work itself out, I think this could be a perfect spot for him because the 5 years he was in Cleveland, he had 7 different head coaches and offense coordinators, and then turn around, gets traded to the Panthers and loses his head coach after 4 weeks. So he's had no stability for his career whatsoever, and we've seen him have a good NFL season. He took the Browns to the playoffs, beat the Steelers,
beat the rival Steelers.
Yeah, beat a team that Cleveland hasn't been able to beat. So I think that there's still a chance that he could be at least a good quarterback. Maybe not as good as we thought, or expected. But I think Sean McVay, if Sean McVay stays, there's murmurs, there's still rumbles that he may leave. But maybe Sean McVay is that guy. He goes, okay, I think Stafford, I think this is it. I don't know if Stafford comes back. He's got a Super Bowl. This year hasn't been healthy at all. And so I put your body through that. I could see, keep him there. And these last, 5 weeks, they're going to be a tryout for him to see if whether or not he is, for that team. But there's some of the people that are just like Mitchell Schwartz. He was an offensive lineman in NFL, played for the Chiefs. He, someone posted that was his name, Mike Tainer. He said something like, so Baker Mayfield can, lead a comeback from behind win against a terrible Raiders defense, but Herbert can't. Well, then Mitchell Schwartz is like, well, Baker Mayfield has a top-tier offensive line, and all of his explosive...
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, all of his explosive wide receiver targets are there.
Van Jefferson, everybody, Schwarzenegger, whatever his name. Yeah, they're incredible.
Yeah. I mean, you're missing the best wide receiver in the NFL, Cooper Kupp, and he's like, so, let's not go too far in that. And once Herbert is able to get that kind of stability, we'll see what happens. I'm like, dude, they've got one of the worst offensive lines. They've got Van Jefferson. Vince Skoranek was your leading receiver. You're missing the best wide receiver in the NFL in Cooper Kupp, but yet they have an elite wide receiver, top tier, and they have one of the top tier offensive lines. I was like, dude, you're insane. I mean, because Herbert had Keenan Allen, he had Mike Williams, he has Austin Eckler. All those weapons right there are far way better than any weapon that Baker Mayfield has playing right now for the Rams.
100%. There's not a single receiver on that starting roster of San Diego, Los Angeles Chargers, that they're like, nah, we'd rather have what's over there in the Rams squad that's healthy.
Right?
No, there's not. There's just absolutely not.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, this has to be a joke, right? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. You're a football guy. You should know this. You were an offensive lineman. You should know that offensive line for the Rams is hot garbage.
Hot garbage is a great word to put it, word for it. But I was glad. I was so grateful. Did you see him in the locker room afterwards, the speech? And they were like, coming in on 3 days ago, gets the game ball. The team was rallying around this guy. So
I know.
Watch out. Let's go. Baker Mayfield. Come on. Get me excited. And you know what? Matthew Stafford, we love you. You're a heck of a ball player. And I also love his spirit. It's similar to Baker Mayfield in a sense of his competitiveness and his heart for the team. So I think, again, that dynamic is going to be great, and the team is going to really build off of that. There's no chance. Well, I mean, if they win out, they could technically make the playoffs at 8 and 9. They're not going to make the playoffs. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But I will say this, just a side note. The Panthers right now, they were our pick at the beginning of the year to make a sneaky playoff run that wasn't in there last year, and they are 1 game out. Are you serious? Like, did you see this? Another win?
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand what is going on in that division. That whole division is just absolutely horrible.
Mm-hmm.
But yet you still got teams like, I mean, the Falcons are, they're switching to Ritter. And then you've got, Andy Dalton-led Saints and the Sam Darnold-led Panthers. Could possibly knock Tom Brady out of the playoffs.
I know.
The best quarterback of all time. There's a chance that could happen. And I'm like, there's no earthly idea, at the way that season started, Baker, getting cut, and then them going to PJ Walker, and then now to Sam Darnold. I'm like, there's no, glimpse. I was like, yeah, that team could possibly still make the playoffs.
I can't believe it. Here's why, for the record, Sam Darnold is not beating anybody. They're running the ball like crazy. Chuba had a great game. Freeman had a great game as well. Foreman? Did I say Freeman?
Foreman.
Yeah, Foreman. I'm saying Devontae Freeman is who I'm picturing in my head, another NFC South running back. But that is great. They ran the ball like 40-something times and passed it hardly at all. So you're taking the ball in the game winning out of Darnold's hands, which is what you have to do if you want to win. While the Tampa Bay Bucks are out there, and Tom Brady, they're minus I know they got their butts handed to them, but they're minus 30 on the year on point differential. There's a reason why they're 6-7. And away right now, they're 2-4. They cannot win on the road, and they're barely winning at home. They're 4-3. So, I don't know, man. This division to me is wide open. What if Desmond Ritter comes out and just lights it up? I mean, they're 1 loss behind in the loss column.
That's my thinking. I'm like, what happens if Ritter comes out and just, tears it up?
He's that wild card right now.
Yeah, I mean, because no one's seen him really play except for preseason.
Yeah.
So it could take a couple weeks for these teams to really gauge what he does or is going to do. So those couple of weeks could be very crucial. If they aren't able to figure out how to slow him down or whatever, they could very well take the conference, take the division and sneak into the playoffs, and maybe the last we see Tom Brady in Tampa.
Yeah. I think he needs to hang it up. I think it's time. The problem is you're going to look at his numbers even in this last game, and you're going to think, well, he still put up, how many yards was it he put up? Let me look it up real quick. But they're like, oh, he's 253. He did have 2 picks. He had 253 on 55 attempts. This is terrible. And 5 yards an attempt.
Like the interceptions were bad overthrows, but there's one the statistic that I've seen that I was looking at earlier that stuck out a lot to me. That is the reason why. And like you said, they have a negative, what did you say, 30-point differential 30. This year?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the fact that he, on his attempts this year, is throwing 2.9% touchdowns per attempt. That's the lowest in his career. Last year, compare that to last year, it was 6% of his attempts were touchdowns. So I think that right there shows you that there's been some drop off. And like that play towards the end zone, they had Mike Evans wide open. All he has to do is throw it over the top, and he throws it behind him, and everyone's like, "Oh, well, Evans dropped the ball." He threw it behind him where the defender is. Yeah. He just throws it over the top, throws it to the corner. Mike Evans is going to make that play. He has the corner beat. Just throw it to him, and he's just, I don't know. He's missing high. He's missing low. Part of it could be the offensive line is just in shambles. Donovan Smith leads the NFL in holds.
What a great stat. Hey, welcome to leader, man.
I don't know how many he had this week, but before this week, it was 35.
Yeah.
And that's the most since I think they said 2014, 2015.
I can't imagine. How do you get 35? And how many games? 13 games, right? So 35. Yeah. That's 3 a game. What are you doing? What are you doing, man?
And I know he got a couple more this week. So it's probably more somewhere around like the 37, 38 mark. Yeah, insane. When I saw that, I was like, that has to be a typo.
Yeah. Well, we talked about how weak the NFC is this week, and we'll still get into some more of these teams. Now that Tampa Bay lost by 28, they were at +2. Now
Mhm.
they're at minus. They're already at negative. So, how many teams out of 16 in the NFC have a positive point
Ooh.
differential?
So we know the Eagles.
Okay,
That's a
that's one.
given.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the Cowboys do.
Yeah,
Because
they're second. They have 131. They've
Yeah,
done pretty
because
good job.
they've
Done
blown
50
out a
points
couple
twice.
teams. Yeah.
Yeah, not this last weekend, but
Yeah, this last weekend. For some reason, I'm going to say the 49ers. I think
they
the
have
49ers.
120. Yeah, their defense has been really, really good.
And then I feel like there's a wild card out there. I'm going to say the Seahawks.
Seahawks are correct. So that's so far. You give me 1, 2, 3, 4. There's one more.
One more.
Yes.
And it could. I'm going to. Ooh. There's one that I know a couple weeks ago wasn't, and they were like, it was only like 1 or 2 points, but they just lost. I'm trying to think. Oh, man, this one's tough.
I know.
I don't know. Trying to think off the top of my head of the teams.
He never misses, but shooter's got to shoot. So here we go. Is he going to be on a hot streak?
I'm just gonna say. I feel like I know this is wrong. The Vikings, but
dude, you're so close.
Oh, the Lions.
The Lions are at +2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the Lions are at +2, and the Vikings are at -1 now. Let that sink in. -1, and they're 10-3. I know they got whooped and blown out by the Cowboys. Even if you take that off, this team is 10-3, and they're lucky. They went into Detroit this weekend, and guess who was the favorite to win this game at 10-2? The Lions were at 5-7, and this is the coaching, the team. They're competitive. Jared Goff, say what you will. Look at the Lions compared to the Rams right now. I'm just saying. I'm not saying Jared Goff is incredible. I'm just saying he's throwing the ball and he's doing a good job. He's doing a good job. So watch out.
They're making a run, and honestly, you look at that schedule, and I would not be surprised if they made the playoffs.
Well, we talked about it last week. Yeah.
I mean, you look at what's going on with the Giants. The Giants, they're on a losing streak.
Yes,
they're 1-4-1 in their last 6 games, and that end of the schedule is not easy.
Yeah, I think that the Giants should definitely be worried. They're -30 something in the numbers already, and they lost to Detroit, so they've already lost the tiebreaker on head-to-head matchups. So, and they have at Washington, at Minnesota, and then at the Eagles. That's 3 or 4 games on the road to finish up the last month of the season. So if I was the Giants, I'd be worried right now.
And you're playing a tough Indianapolis defense. I mean, that team's always tough. Yeah, I mean, the offense isn't great, but that defense is good enough. And with the big factor for the Giants is that their offense cannot score.
It can't. It cannot score now. So the Commanders are still doing a good enough job to keep things going. They were on bye this last week, so that's why they're going to be rested up headed into it. So that division is still good overall. But hey, the Packers also didn't play this weekend, so hey, no loss. That's good.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So while we're still on the NFC, we got to talk about it. The San Francisco 49ers, they're out Jimmy Garoppolo, they're out Trey Lance. Yeah, who do they turn to but Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy, out of Iowa State, 2-time Big 12 Player of the Year, I think Offensive Player of the Year, something like that. I don't know, first team all quarterback. Who cares? Is he legit he was against the Bucs, and we've already explained how they're not great right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't buy it still. I mean, we've seen him play. And he played good this week, and he's played good since he's came in. You know, he had the 1 turnover, against the Dolphins and stuff. I think once teams get a little bit more film on him, they're going to be able to see. And then on top of that, you throw in the fact that you just lost Debo probably for most of the rest of the regular season.
Yeah. I think he may get back to the last week just to get on a pitch cap, right? Like, you're going to get 12 reps, that's it, and then we're going to get you to the playoffs, hopefully with a bye.
Yeah, I mean, thing is that it's the high ankle and an MCL sprain. So that's what makes me worried that even if he does come back, how explosive is he going to be? And that's a big weapon. I would expect IU to maybe pick up the slack, and we know that as Oklahoma fans, being in the Big 12, that he loves his tight end. So he's got a great tight end in Kittle if he's on the field.
Very true.
But I mean, I think he can do enough to win in that division because we've seen the Seahawks are kind of struggling right now.
Yeah, I think the Seahawks magic is kind of running out.
Yeah, and so I think that he can do enough to win that division. I don't think that they're going to be as dangerous as a team as I was expecting going into the playoffs because Jimmy Garoppolo is not there.
Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo changes everything. But if
Yeah.
they can get that second seed, which there's a chance they're still a game behind the Vikings, but if they can do that, they will really set themselves up well to have to play a team like either the Lions, the Giants, the Seahawks, maybe the Packers or the Panthers, playing a team like that in the first round, and then the second round playing the winner of it actually does look tough. The winner, what was the other one?
Cowboys,
Bucks. And you don't want that. So maybe you want to stay in that third spot because then you get the Eagles. I don't know, man. This is bad either way. No. That's right. So the Eagles would play the winner of the Cowboys and the Bucks at this point because they're 4-5.
Okay, yeah.
So they'll probably play the Vikings. You take 2 or 3 all day. You take that. You don't want you don't want the 1 seed because you might have to play the Cowboys who have a good offense, or you might have to play Tom Brady. And I know we've talked about how he's not good. Still, Tom Brady. At the very least,
he's still Tom Brady. Playoffs, it's still Tom Brady. I ain't counting the guy out ever when it comes to playoffs because he knows he can turn that switch when it comes to the big games. And you could be in some trouble. But like last year, though, the 2 teams that got the bye lost in this new format. So maybe you don't want to have that first round bye. You kind of lose all momentum, it makes you a little rusty, even though you got the week to, rest up and, be healthy. You're not getting that game speed, that game action. So you're kind of getting a little rusty. And I mean, I don't think there's probably a team in the NFC that can beat the Eagles. But
I don't either right now.
I wouldn't be surprised though if somehow Tom Brady makes it to the second round and is able to upset an Eagles team just because it's Tom Brady.
Yeah, we can't count that out, unfortunately.
Yep.
Now the Packers, like I said, like we mentioned, they still technically have a path to the playoff. Now when they get there, probably not. But Jordan Love seems a little unhappy.
Yeah,
a little frustrated by the lack of confidence in him.
Well, the thing is it's not the upper management. The upper management already said we've seen enough from Jordan Love that we're going to give him the 5th year, and we think he can be a starting quarterback going forward. It's the fact that, I mean, he's going to be going into his 5th year, and you got to make that decision. Who's your quarterback? And he's there. I mean, Jason Wild, the ESPN analyst there in Milwaukee, he spoke with him. And he's like, he didn't come out and just say it. If Rodgers is back next year, I'll ask for a trade. But he's like, he hinted around that's a good possibility. If Rodgers is here next year, that Love's going to ask for a trade. And I mean, if you're the Packers, what do? I mean, you hold the guy and then go, okay, well, you got to set a whole nother year. We'll pick up that 5th year option. Well, then he's a free agent.
Yeah. So
after that 5th year, you ain't going to franchise the guy, are you? Unless you are that sold on him. And so I think it comes down to the fact that you either are picking your future or you're picking the now and thinking that Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to be Aaron Rodgers again going forward next year. And this is where I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, if you want to play, we'll find another team for you. If Rodgers wants to play, we'll find somewhere, 49ers or Seattle, somewhere, the Saints. We'll find somewhere for you to go if that's really what you want is to still play. Because I think now it's at that point we've got to look forward to the future, because more than likely it's this year that Rodgers retires or the next year.
Yeah, and I would say just go ahead and move on from Rodgers. Like I don't see him being the Super Bowl winning quarterback, and I don't know that Love is. I know the management, like you said, they're like, oh, at least we can believe in it. But if not, I don't know that you're going to have a high enough pick to go get one of these guys. You're not going to get Caleb Williams next year, and if you are, you might as well go all in with Jordan Love and see what 2-15 looks like, and get a Caleb Williams or something like that. So
I mean that's been my thinking. If you're sitting there going, okay, well, this is a decent quarterback coming out of this draft. You're probably gonna be somewhere around 15th pick. more than likely, because I imagine you're probably going to. I think there's a chance that they could beat a couple of these teams down the stretch, but that puts you more in the middle of the draft than anywhere close to one of these quarterbacks. Because I think there's two guys that you can say for sure deserve to go in the top 10, and then there's a couple guys that people are really high on, like Levis, and then Anthony Richardson for some reason came out and is entering the draft, and I don't think that kid's anywhere close to being ready for anything when it comes to NFL. So why not? If throw Love in there, if Love doesn't play good, you're going to get a high pick.
Yeah.
You have your shot at a Caleb Williams.
Yeah. And maybe, hey, next Patrick Mahomes, or better than Patrick Mahomes. That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
I'm so thankful. I saw in the news that the Saints got fined for faking an injury. And also, don't have was it Cameron Jordan? Is that who got fined?
Yeah.
Who faked
who
faked the injury. Don't have him do it. Let some scrub do it. Don't have him fake the injury. Come on now.
Yeah.
But I was glad that they got fined. I hate seeing that. Just either substitute, call timeout. I get timeouts are valuable, but so is not giving up 6 points.
Yeah.
Stop faking injuries.
So I totally agree. I think that faking the injury is dumb, and it needs to be addressed. But you also can't just decide all of a sudden, okay, we're going to find this guy. Why isn't Jesse Bates and the Bengals getting fined? I mean, we've
That's
seen.
True. Yeah, you have to go across the board.
Yeah, and they're running onto the field, and you see the guy look over and say something to Bates, and then all of a sudden Bates falls on the ground. When the Chiefs are on the 2-yard line, they're trying to substitute. The Bengals are, and Patrick Mahomes is hurrying up to the line, knowing that there's two guys running behind him to try to get on the field. So you're going to find one guy. You're going to have to find everyone. You can't just pick and choose. I understand the Cam Jordan thing, it happened once or twice, in that game, but you got to be consistent with it. If you're going to find one team and that player, you got to find the other team and that player too. You got to be consistent with it. But I'm all for it. I think the faking the injury thing is ridiculous.
It is so ridiculous. It's annoying. This isn't soccer. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, we've all watched enough FIFA to see it. We know it when we see a fake injury. So
yeah.
And speaking of non-fake injuries, though, Mike White, man, he took it was a day against that Buffalo front.
Man, he got pummeled.
Kept coming back in, ends up in the hospital.
Yeah. That first hit from Ed Oliver, I mean, I swear he got 3 feet off the ground.
Still didn't put in what's his face. Can't remember his name.
No, he didn't even suit up. Yeah. He was in street clothes.
Why is his name? Wilson. Zach Wilson. Thank you. There it is. All right. Jeez. Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty rough. So in that game, I mean, obviously Mike White, I still don't think Mike White's the answer. At least he's giving him heart and he's going out there doing everything he can. Bam Knight, apparently he's a thing. Michael Carter was back and didn't do anything, 5 carries and 5 yards. So if you didn't already in fantasy football leagues pick up Bam Knight, Bam Knight, that's what he goes by. You might as well go ahead and do it, but there's a good chance he's already picked up. But
I made a split decision move right before the games. I had Latavius Murray, and I'm like, I'm not feeling good about this. So I dropped Latavius Murray, pick up Zonovan Knight, throw him in the starting lineup, and got me a touchdown. I was like, man, I don't feel good about this. Zonovan Knight, he's been, getting a lot of action, catching passes, running the ball. So I was like, let's take a swing, even against a decent, Buffalo defense. It paid off.
It definitely did. Buffalo's defense is still playing really well. I will say, man, they still cannot figure out how to run the ball. If you look at their box score, the only reason why you're like, oh, they won is because they played the Jets. Like, I'm concerned, Josh Allen, we know he's not healthy. We know that he's struggling a little bit he's staying on the field. He's giving everything he's got. 10 rushes in this game, led the team in rushing and obviously passing, but he's just not really connecting on the same level. Like Diggs, 3 catches, 37 yards. Gabe Davis has not had the year that everybody thought. Just looking through this, like, they are the number 1 team because of the defense right now. It's not all on Josh Allen's shoulders, which should be a good thing because if he can get healthy, gets the extra bye week, I mean, hey, maybe that's enough time to get healed up. But he needs to get healed up for this team to really, really be that contender team that you expect.
Yeah, if you're the Bills, that's, to me, has to be your top priority this offseason, is find him a running back so Josh Allen isn't running the ball like he is. And because if I'm them, I'm worried. at some point we're going to see his body start breaking down, and maybe we're starting to see that right now. And the one comparison that kind of stuck out to me, and I'm not saying that Cam Newton was ever anywhere close as good as Josh Allen is, but we've seen Cam Newton, a big guy that we were like, oh, he can take the hits. He's a bigger body guy. He can take the bumps and bruises.
Mm-hmm.
But his body finally broke down after running the ball as much as he did. And I would hate to see that happen to a guy like Josh Allen, that, he has this world-class talent to be a dominant quarterback in the NFL, elite quarterback, something that, there's not very many of in the NFL right now. And to see that get taken away from him because you don't have a run game. You swung and missed at the trade deadline going to get Naheem Hines. It did nothing, didn't move the needle. To me, it did nothing because you already had a Devin Singletary and you drafted James Cook. And it's basically what James Cook got drafted for, was to catch the ball out of the backfield. They need somebody that can come in and just run the ball. I don't think they'll have any shot at Bijan Robinson, but a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs, out of Alabama, I think would be a great fit for him.
I think it'd be a good fit, but let's be honest, Zeke is going to be a free agent at the end of this year, and they're probably going to go cheaper to Tony Pollard in Dallas. And so I'm not saying he's going there, but that's a guy that, he's been injured himself, but maybe you give a guy like that back there, and you get some more trust for him. So you're right. For the game of football, please don't take one of our best quarterbacks. But I think it's a good comp. As many times as he runs, it's very similar. I think he's a much better passer, but he's getting beat up, man. He's getting beat up.
Yeah.
So, the Ravens, speaking of quarterbacks who are getting beat up.
Jeez.
I don't know how you're feeling about this. I've seen, we've seen this before with him. Isn't this a contract year for Lamar? Or am I thinking? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they did beat Pittsburgh. I think they were 3-point favorites. They didn't even cover that, which is unfortunate unless you're a Pittsburgh fan. But Kenny Pickett got hurt in this game. Mitch Trubisky came in, threw 3 picks, does Mitchell Trubisky things. Tyler Huntley, who at some points has looked like a poor man's version of Lamar Jackson, skill set wise, did not go well.
No.
Anthony Brown got in. What college did Anthony Brown go to?
Oregon.
Okay. All right, man. Say that if you will.
Trying to remember. He transferred in to Oregon, too. I want to say from Temple.
From Temple? Wow. If you nail this, I'm going to be really frustrated. Not frustrated. Not surprised either. Boston College. Similar color scheme. My laptop just came unplugged, so hold on for just a second. Or go ahead.
I knew it was somewhere on the East Coast. But, that situation there, they're lucky that they won this game. Because if they would have lost this game and say Huntley isn't able to play, you got Lamar Jackson out until they're saying at least, week 16, maybe, a little bit longer, you're in some trouble because Anthony Brown isn't going to be able to get you some wins down the stretch. So, they're lucky they won that game. And because if they don't win that game, there's a good chance that they'd be looking outside looking in. Again, just like last year. It was almost like the same thing as last year where Lamar Jackson gets hurt right at the end of the season. We see Huntley come in and play good, but they had so many injuries on the defensive side that they weren't able to get in. And and so they got this win, so it helps out a lot. But man, if they ain't able to get any decent quarterback play, they still may miss the playoffs just because there's still a couple of decent teams there around that wild card spot fighting.
Yeah, the AFC is very
for
different.
Those final spots. Yeah.
When you look at J.K. Dobbins came back and had a great game. I mean, Pittsburgh's rush defense is pretty bad right now. Their defense isn't great, period. But 16 points is all you're able to put up. I'd be a little concerned, especially. I mean, maybe Kenny Pickett's in this game, and maybe they're able to do something better. Maybe they're do more. Najee had a tough game, but. And the biggest concern for them is obviously they lead the division right now over the Bengals because they own the tiebreaker. But I don't know, man. Like they're both 9-4, and so I'm going to probably pick the Bengals to win that division on the way out.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, Lamar's not playing. Even if Huntley isn't playing, I don't think they have any shot at winning that division. Yeah, going forward.
Yeah, and Joe Burrow. I mean, he's not playing lights out, but I mean that team they're winning. They played the Browns this weekend. Deshaun Watson. We'll get to that here in a second, but Joe Mixon was back. Samaje Perine, we've seen what he can do the last month. So Jamar Chase did Jamar Chase things. 10 catches on 15 targets. Half of Joe Burrow's pass attempts went to, yes, you guessed it, Jamar Chase. On the other hand.
That's what happens when T. Higgins gets hurt in warm-ups and
Tyler Boyd didn't do anything.
Gets hurt. Boyd got hurt during the game.
We only got one target,
Yeah.
so I don't know how early he got hurt, but man, that's pretty tough. I'm fine with it. I got Jamar Chase in a couple leagues, so go ahead and please just feed him the ball. It's playoff season.
Yeah, no, I'm all for Jamar Chase lighting it up.
So Deshaun Watson, still rusty, you think?
I would hope if I'm the Browns, that's what I'm hoping. But I mean, the numbers were better this week. But you watch that game, and it's like it looks like you just drafted. It's an undrafted quarterback that has no experience of what he's doing on the field, throwing way over their heads, throwing it at their feet. It's like it could just be that he just hasn't played in the last 2 years, basically, and has no continuity with those wide receivers not being able to practice up until like week 10, whatever, week 11, whatever it was, and so that could be part of it. But man, right now, if you're the Browns, it's not looking good, and you're getting away from the biggest thing that got you. Even those amount of wins that you got without Deshaun Watson, you're not running the ball with Nick Chubb and Hunt. I don't get it. It blows my mind that you're not giving the guy that led the NFL in rushing yards basically through 10, 11 weeks. You're not giving him the ball. And to me, like last week was more egregious because you're playing the Texans, who are the worst run defense in the NFL. And I know the Bengals have a decent run defense, but man, I would just be feeding him the ball. You've got a quarterback that hasn't played for 2 years. Why are you making him throw the ball 40-some times a game?
Yeah, and so I guess if 10 is absolute panic mode, like we made the biggest financial decision that was a mistake here in Cleveland in a while, or 1 is like chill. Like, where are you at on the scale of panic to chill?
I would probably say right now it's probably like a 3, maybe a 4.
I think that's,
there's got to be
3.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be some panic because you did guarantee the guy $250 million, and that has to be somewhat worrisome. But then again, also you got to go, man, he hasn't played for 2 years, and when he did play, he was a really good quarterback. So hopefully he's able to revert back to that. But if not, man, you just made the most Browns move ever.
That's most Browns move. That's Browns do what the Browns do. So no one's surprised there. The last night's game, the Dolphins and the Chargers. Dolphins I would have expected them to win this game. The Chargers were at home, which helps. The Chargers got off to a pretty solid 17-7 lead at halftime, and then really it was just kind of back and forth. Not a whole lot happened. Tua was terrible in this game.
We've seen a really bad Tua the last 2 weeks, and I mean, if I'm the Dolphins, that worries me because before this game, before the last 2 weeks, he was the number 1 quarterback completion percentage-wise against man coverage. And 49ers run a lot of man coverage, and the Chargers were running man coverage, and they couldn't get hardly any separation. He's not even looking towards Jalen Waddle lately. It's like he's trying to force it to Tyreek Hill. But man, I mean, he's only completing 46% of his passes the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Got 3 turnovers to 3 touchdowns, averaging, I think, 217 passing yards, in the 2-game span compared to what he was doing at the beginning of the season. I mean, before the last 2 weeks, we were talking about him being probably top 3 MVP candidate, the way he was playing. Yeah. And now we're seeing the Tua, I think, that everyone was expecting to see at the beginning of the year. So either Tua's not right, or defense has figured something out, or he can't handle the pressure.
Man, you got to hope it's not that one. But I will say, like, if you look at him last year, they were winning. I don't know if anybody remembers last year. They went up in, what was it, like 1, 2, 8 out of 9 or something like that. They just went on a massive streak at the end of the year to win some games. But even then, like, his numbers look pretty good. He was turning the ball over a little bit. But this year right now, like you said, it feels like maybe he's hit a wall or a game plan scheming that has gotten against him. But he's got to stop feeding the ball to Tyreek when he has a Jalen Waddle who had over 100 catches last year. You said 46% completion percentage. Between those two guys, his total completion percentage is 45%. So, I mean, figure something else out. But there's not a whole lot. I mean, they have Raheem Mostert is not bad or anything like that, and Jeff Wilson Jr. is fine. They're just not getting anything done. I mean, they're not going to win the division at this point, even with a hurt Josh Allen out there. But now you just have to say, like, okay, we need to worry about positioning here for the playoffs. And you just lost one to a team that's scraping to try and get back and let them get within one game and lost the head-to-head battle with the Chargers. I think you have to be a little bit more concerned now.
Yeah, and if you're the Dolphins, you don't have that easy of a schedule to end the season.
No.
Compared to what the Chargers have, you very well could see the Dolphins not making the playoffs just based off of what they have left. And if the Chargers are able to continue to win, and say if the Patriots win this game tonight, I mean, they're pushing that spot too. So there's a chance that we see them fall out of the playoffs just because if Tua is not playing like Tua the first 11 weeks of the season, there's no chance that team is going to make playoffs because that defense isn't good enough to take you there.
I would be a little concerned if I was them. The good news is the teams that are outside looking in are the Jets, who we don't expect a whole lot from. The Patriots, who, like you said, they need to win, but they have been very inconsistent, can't find an identity. And then you have the Jaguars, who have 2 more losses than them. No, 3 more. So it's a tough road for them not to get in, but getting in and playing against the Chiefs versus getting in and playing Baltimore or Cincinnati, still, those are different things. So a lot of pressure. It's that time of the year, though. It's December football. It's supposed to be pressure filled.
This is where you'll find out if your quarterback is that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where the pressure gets to you, and if you ain't able to hold up to it, you ain't gonna make it far in the playoffs. So, if I'm the Dolphins right now, I'm just praying Tua's able to figure something out, and maybe it is just a scheme thing, something that McDaniels is able to figure out and help Tua out a little bit more. But man, it hasn't been good for him the last couple of weeks.
He's gonna have to figure it out. And I like their head coach. I like what they do in Miami, and I, see how if he ends the year strong. He's been very streaky so far, very streaky. So hopefully he can end this streak here. Now, a guy who has had a decent run, a great sophomore season, I would say at this point, a pretty good sophomore season maybe, would be Trevor Lawrence. I mean, quietly, he's putting together a really solid second-year campaign. Now, Detroit got blown out, but before that, they beat Baltimore. Within 10 points, Kansas City beat the Raiders. I mean, back and forth, but they were coming off of a deep losing streak. And so you look at his 3 touchdowns against Tennessee. Tennessee could not stop. They could stop the run, but they couldn't stop Trevor Lawrence.
I mean, Trevor Lawrence is, really lately, the last 4 or 5 weeks has looked like a really good quarterback. And you get that guy a legit number 1 wide receiver, not a Christian Kirk, he may be able to do some damage. I mean, we've seen Etienne, kind of take a step forward once they traded James Robinson and played pretty decent. I mean, Evan Ingram's had a bounce back year. Everyone expected a lot from Evan Ingram early on in his career and kind of disappointed, but he's been able to, play good there in Jacksonville. You get that guy a legit number 1 wide receiver, you have something cooking there. Yeah. But man, that Tennessee offense. What I mean, they
outside of Derrick Henry, what's going on?
Oh yeah, I mean, Tannehill isn't the answer, obviously.
Yeah,
but I'm still not sold that Malik Willis is going to be the answer either. I still think that he
definitely not.
I mean, he's got to. There's a lot for him that he's going to have to get through, and he is a rookie, and so he is young and can learn stuff, but. Even before that, there were some questions I had about, is he able to be a legit number 1 quarterback? But, I mean, it was like the first quarter happened, and the Titans said, okay, we're good the rest of the game until, 10-minute, early fourth quarter score, touchdown, get a 2-point conversion. But Derrick Henry had 4 rushing yards in the second half. after having 117 in the first, basically 117 in the first quarter.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say on the season outlook, I'm going to go ahead and take the L and saying that Derrick Henry was done. Oops. 1,200 yards, 11 touchdowns, doing Derrick Henry things. I was just nervous, man, but he stayed healthy, so good for him.
Mm-hmm. No, I could have seen it, a possibility of him falling off just because of how much that guy's ran the ball over the last 4 years.
Yeah, a ton, an absolute ton, over 2,000-yard season, of course. Now, good Lord, if you look at the strength of schedule or the weakness of schedule, if you will, the rest of the season, started this last Sunday going forward, the Chiefs had probably the easiest schedule. Broncos twice, the Texans, the struggling Seahawks, and the Raiders, who just lost to who? I know, exactly, Baker Mayfield and the Rams. So they go in, they're smoking the Broncos. It's not even a game, and I think 3 picks later, and it's a 6-point game in the second half, and you're like, what are we doing? And to me, this was 100%. You dominated. You weren't even. It wasn't even close. And then all of a sudden, you got lax. You let you got two. Oh man, I can make this throw any day. No, well, I'll move him a little bit with my eyes, and then I'll throw it real hard. No, you didn't. Lots of mistakes. Thankfully, it didn't cost them a win. That would have been tough. So they still kept pace with the Bills, even though they lost, because they have to, because they have to hope the Bills lose if they want that bye. But I'm just telling you, I don't think the Chiefs want the bye, because then there's a chance you end up with Bengals and Bills in the same playoff run. And I'd rather just have to play one at this point.
Yeah.
But any concern for you? I mean, 34-28, they did win. Jerry Jeudy went off.
Yeah. No, I don't think there's any concern. I thought I had the same thinking you had. They were smoking them, and they just took the foot off the pedal and they're just kind of like, hey, we can coast to the finish line and we'll be fine. Then a couple big Jerry Jeudy plays later, and they're right back in the game. My biggest takeaway from it was that, I mean, we've seen Patrick Mahomes do some wild things, but I would swear up and down that the guy's a magician.
That one little pass.
The no look, just kind of toss over the shoulder, like, here we go. And then McKinnon takes it for a touchdown. Yeah. I mean, there's no one that can do what he does.
We're talking about nicknames earlier. I got one for him.
Yeah.
Magic Man. Now you see me? Man. Now you do. Talking movies there. It makes sense.
That's a good one.
Like,
LG.
It's like Spanish for fried chicken.
Fried chicken. The one with the claws. Yeah, the claws and the beak.
The claws and the beak. So good. Oh, what a great movie. You should have put that one for your favorite sports movie. That's NASCAR. It still works, right?
I mean, yeah, it still works. I mean, that's a pretty great movie.
Oh, we're almost 20 years later, and we're still quoting it.
I know. I'm still waiting for some, when are they going to do another one? Oh, not another Talladega Nights, but when is John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell going to do another movie?
I don't know,
I'm still waiting.
I feel like they've both gone their separate ways. Will Ferrell apparently had another recent movie where it's like a musical or something like that. I heard. I don't know. I haven't seen.
Oh yeah,
but
the Christmas movie.
Yeah, that's what it was. So you saw it. It was good.
Yeah.
Was it funny or was it like a family?
Yeah, it's funny.
Too?
It's
okay,
funny.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely not a family thing. Yeah. It's more, a humor.
Do you have
it's typical humor?
That's a Will Ferrell movie. Yeah. Do you have a favorite Will Ferrell movie?
Oh, I think Anchorman.
Anchorman? Okay.
Yeah,
that's
the first one
too. Yeah. Oh yeah.
First one.
Yeah. I never saw the second one. I can't imagine it lived up to this first one. So.
I mean, it was okay. But
I'm gonna go hands down. Everything Must Go.
No,
I'm kidding. That's like the first time I saw, I was like, "This is so serious. When's the funny parts?" There's not funny.
Yeah.
Parts in the movie. Very dramatic. But Talladega Nights for me, like it was just so dumb, so funny. I literally thought about it like yesterday because I was talking to someone at work and they were saying, "Yeah, I love leftovers. I got 5 kids in the house, 2 teenage boys. Yeah, they're gonna eat all of this leftover food. Like this was lunch on Saturday. I just laid out a big plate, and I put all the leftovers, and they ate it all. It was great because someone was complaining about leftovers. And it made me think of, come on, y'all, I've been slaving on this for hours. The Taco Bell, always delicious Taco Bell.
Yeah, the Arby's and the pizza, the Domino's. Yeah.
The Powerade. amazing. So
I mean, we missed another Will Ferrell sports movie too. Kicking and Screaming is another.
That one is so good with Mike Ditka. And
yeah,
dude, I quoted that movie this week too.
yeah,
because the way he goes, get the ball to the Italians.
Italians, yeah,
yeah.
Oh yeah,
this is solid. I feel like Joseph would be really good in that movie too. Like he could have played Will Ferrell. Like if ever a sequel, Joseph could do that. He could dress up like Mike Ditka at one point. It'd be great. We'll have to ask him next time he comes on the podcast. Hey, you had to dress up like Ditka. I think he could do it. Get a little mustache.
Oh yeah, get the fake mustache. Get him the sweater vest. Yeah,
dude. I think if we got him the vest, I think he would do it.
We'll have to look into this.
Okay, we're gonna look into it.
Now I want to see it.
Now we want to see it. Okay, that's what the fans want. That's what we want. We definitely got way off topic here, but that's okay. That's the W podcast. So sorry about that. So yeah, Patrick Mahomes is a magician. 3 touchdowns, 3 picks, 350 yards. Some people are feeling like this is a sign that the Chiefs are weak. I mean, 3 picks. They did everything they could to give the Broncos a chance to win this game, and they still won. The Chiefs did.
Yeah.
So
no, I don't buy that.
That 1 to 10 meter panic, don't panic. Where are you at on this?
A 1.
A 1. Okay, good. I'm
not worried.
Like a 2, just because 3 picks was annoying. But
yeah,
I think the defense, they got to the quarterback. I mean, they did a good job. So I'm still going to go with a 2, just because you turn the ball over too many times.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but it's Patrick Mahomes. It's not someone that I'm ever going to be worried about, especially when it comes playoff time. I'm not worried about that guy.
Yeah. Well, any other NFL news before we got one more segment with some baseball updates? You feel good? You feel ready?
I'm good. Okay, I'm good. I think we got all the football out of my system.
We definitely did. I'm going to mark where we start that in it. Okay, 106. All right. So there is one deal I was excited about, one deal that doesn't make sense to me, and there's one deal that we all saw coming, but there's also one that I think is absolutely stupid. We'll get there. So Aaron Judge, 9 years, $360 million. What a deal that he just did. I mean, he's going to be the next captain, the first since Jeter, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You have to, because from what I've heard is that he got that offer from the Padres that was like $400 million over a certain amount of years, and I guess he called up Hal and then said, "Man, I want my legacy to be my loyalty, and I want to be that next captain, my leadership or whatever." And so, I mean, that guy, he had a chance to go out west, could have took. I mean, because the Giants offered him the exact same offer that the Yankees did.
Mm-hmm.
Could have went out west, been closer to home, Fresno area. So yeah, but he wanted to be that next guy in New York, and you got to give it to him, and put that C on that guy's chest.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. I mean, the way he plays the game isn't Derek Jeter. Don't get me wrong, but it reminds me so much of the way he holds himself. It's just great. It's really he's a great ambassador for the game, if you will. So I'm so thankful he didn't go out west. Oh man.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, you should be, because the Giants are pushing hard. Who did they sign? Mitch Haniger, and Haniger's like, "Come on, Aaron!" Like Mitch Haniger somehow has any weight at all in this decision for him.
No, you don't think so?
No, no, none. It makes no sense to me. But hey, that's fine. I guess not tampering because it's free agency season, but still.
Yeah, I can't blame the guy for trying.
Yeah, maybe that's what he's like. I don't want to hang out with that guy. He seems weird.
Yeah, he's
that's what
hard.
I feel like it was. Like,
Yeah, I've never met that guy. He's acting like we're best friends. I'm good.
I'm good. I don't need that. I don't need that in my life. The Padres, you talked about how they offered him a big deal. They didn't land it, but they did go out there and they did get Xander Bogaerts because they don't have a shortstop.
They don't have 2 shortstops.
I don't understand. what the Padres are doing.
This is exactly what I text you. This is a Padres desperation move. It's all it is to me. I mean, because the fact that you gave this guy an 11-year deal, no opt out at all, so he can't opt out. You can't even no team option, and complete no trade clause. by the time the contract's up, he'll be 40 years old.
Yeah.
41. And
he's so good.
For a guy that, that they were at first were like, man, getting 200 is going to be a big deal, if he can get to that 200 mark. And it seems like, this year that the projections, what everyone's thinking, are actually a lot higher than what, these guys have been getting. But we're seeing a lot of like 9, 10, 11, year deals, which, I mean, some of these teams are just handcuffing themselves for years, especially if you're a team that doesn't have the resources, stuff. Starts falling apart, and that's going to be a tough contract to get rid of, especially going, oh, well, by the time he's 40, he's still going to be playing for us.
Yeah, and you already had a 24-year-old, 23-year-old shortstop, Fernando Tatis, and I know they want to move him to the outfield. I think that cements this as that's the plan, right?
Yeah.
But I've also heard rumors that maybe the Yankees want to go after Fernando Tatis because the Padres may want to distance themselves from a steroid user, I don't know. Dude, the Padres are so confusing. They're a mess to me.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is my one thing that, really made me scratch my head was that, okay, you've got Tatis on this massive contract. Was it close to, was it $300 million or whatever? Then you've got Bogarts now on basically $300 million. Machado on a $300 million contract.
Musgrove.
What happened? What's going to happen next year? Juan Soto is a free agent. They're projecting him to get somewhere close to $500 million,
which he shouldn't.
But
okay.
Yeah, Josh Hader is going to be needing a new contract soon.
Yeah.
You really have enough money to pay every single one of these guys. So that makes me go, someone has to go. Who are you going to send out? It ain't going to be Machado, is it? I mean, that would be insane. So why sign Bogarts when you have Tatis?
Yeah. I know, dude. I know. I don't know. Like you said, desperation move. They needed an outfielder. They don't have an outfielder. They didn't get judged, and so here we are. I think it's a terrible.
Yeah.
It just. I'm not buying into this. I don't buy into this culture of a team. Like, for example, the Dodgers, they typically spend a ton of money. They haven't this year, and I think there's a reason for that. And we talked about it last year. I think they're going to go after a horde of Shohei Ohtani. They're going to make and they're going to give him whatever he wants, I feel like. And that's 2 players.
Yeah.
Maybe you should pay him like he's 2 players. So they haven't, but Dodgers, believe it or not, they have a culture. And part of it is winning, but the winning is the way they do it. They're not just going to go get all these different massive personalities and try to, hey, figure this out together. It's not, they don't do that. They have a team culture, and guys, they find their spot and they run. That's the biggest thing for me is they want to be the Dodgers, and they'll spend their projected payroll as it stands now. It's going to change. It's almost $75 million over. Like it's, oh no, I overdid that. $65 million over. So it's big difference. And I just don't know that the Dodgers are going to close the gap all the way this year before next year. So
no. And so, I mean, the one weird thing that I've been hearing about the Dodgers is why they haven't spent money is, I guess Trevor Bauer is appealing his 2-year suspension. And if that, appeal is successful, that they owe him like almost $100 million in back pay.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to stay under that luxury tax threshold right now. And so a couple of guys have popped up that they're, saying that they could be in contention for. So that makes me wonder if the whole Bauer thing is going to stay put and he's going to still be suspended for the 2 years. Yeah, I guess they're going hard after Rondon right now, and Dansby Swanson, which I think Swanson would be a great guy. I mean, he knows Freddie really good, and he just seems like one of those locker room guys that you want to, like you said, the culture to kind of just hold everything together. The one thing that they do need, which I was hoping that Jock Peterson didn't re-sign with the Giants and came back to the Dodgers, was that guy, the energy guy, someone that can just, when you need a boost of energy, he's there. And that's something the Dodgers have been missing once Jock Peterson left, once Kike Hernandez left. Maybe their numbers weren't the best, but they were a clubhouse guy. And I think that's something the Dodgers have missed. Because Mookie Betts is more of a reserve leader. Freeman, same way. Freeman's more of a reserve, leader. Kershaw, more of a reserve guy. And so they need someone with some, just energy, get them going sometimes.
Nolan Arenado versus Paul Goldschmidt. That's what you're telling me right now.
Yeah, basically.
2 massive leaders, very different. Very different. So, and I love both of them. But so I do think the Bogarts doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
No.
But the other one that I think makes even less sense, can you guess?
I don't know. Which one are you talking about?
Out on the East Coast.
Out on the East Coast.
Yep.
Oh, are you talking about the outfielder for the Red Sox? No? Who
Which
are you
one is
talking
that?
about? Did you not see they signed the Japanese outfielder?
Oh, that one doesn't make sense either. No, but this one's worse.
Yeah. I don't know. Who you got?
Brandon Nimmo.
Okay, yeah, no.
I think this is a dumb. He's almost 30 years. He'll be 30 years old this year. I get it. He was a first round draft pick way back in the day, but to pay him $162 million, he'll be 37 when it's done. Can you tell me how many times has he played? We'll say 140 games or more, and then in 2020 it will count that if he got over 50 because it was only 60 games.
I know he gets hurt a lot.
Oh, yeah, you know what I'm saying.
I'm going to say once, and it was this year maybe.
Last year he did go, 152. Back in 2018, he hit 141, and in the shortened 2020 season, we'll give it to him, he had 55 games. So, again, shortened season. I don't know what that looks like if you have a full season. That's part of it. But for a dude who 32, 69, 140, 70, 55 out of 60, 92, 150, the dude doesn't stay healthy. This is Mets. What are we doing? And it's not like he's producing at this massive level. I get he was a 4-WAR defense, right? He's not. Yeah. What are we doing? We're the Mets. I guess that's the problem. Maybe I shouldn't be so upset about it, but it's the Mets. They have a salary right now, looks like payroll projections at $335 million. The Yankees are second at $250. The Padres I almost said your Padres. Joseph isn't on here.
No.
I was said, Joe, your Padres here at $235 million with all this money they're spending, and they're not even close to the Mets.
No. So to me, what it is Cohen going, I don't care. I got the money. I'll throw it in there. And I think that 330 is actually going to be a lot more because who did they signed another pitcher who was the Japanese Singa.
Yeah.
They just signed Singa. And so that number is going to go up even more, probably another, depending on what the taxes on top of that extra 15 million. So maybe another 20, $25 million.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right now they have a higher payroll than they're saying, or just this year what they've paid their players will have a higher payroll just on the guys that they signed this year compared to I think it was 10 other teams, 10 to 12 other teams in baseball. And then there's another one that popped up and it was insane that they're going to pay over the next 2 years. They're going to pay Verlander and Scherzer $107 million or a little bit less than that, whatever it was. And it showed the Braves, and it was Ronald Acuna, Michael Harris Jr., Austin Riley, basically all their studs. And they were $106 million over the next 2 years. Insane. And so that's all I can think of is Cohen going, I've got this money. I don't care. I'm going to spend it.
Yeah. It is his money, and there's no rules against it. He just pays a hefty luxury tax penalty. But I guess if you have it, go for it. Now, there was another trade that actually happened. We could talk about that real quick. Sean Murphy gets dealt to the Braves. I think it's a great trade for the Braves. I know they had to give up a little bit, but it was a 3-team deal. But that's a really good spot for Murphy to land. He's going to be able to thrive. His offensive numbers were terrible there in Oakland, but they will be much, much better here in Atlanta. And I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
watch out for the Braves.
I think the A's, though, for a small market like they are, don't ever really spend money. I think it was a great move because you got some I think they got 2 or 3 other catchers in their top 15 prospects. Mm-hmm. And so why not just move on the guy? On top of that, you get Kyler Mueller, who I think could be a 1 or 2, ace pitcher in baseball if his stuff is able to get there. I think he has that type of stuff. He was the Braves' #1 prospect. Then you get another, pitcher, name slips my mind. What is it? Tarnock. he was the 6th prospect in the Braves system. Both of them, I wouldn't be surprised if both of them aren't in the rotation at the beginning of the year. And then you get Ruiz from the Brewers, who was a big part of the Josh Hader trade. And so you got some really good pieces for a catcher that for you was expendable. You have these guys that are, you got Langelier that you just got from the Braves last year, who's ready to come up. Then they drafted a guy a couple years ago who has the makeup to be a really, really, really good catcher. So yeah, why not ship him off? And great for both sides. I mean, I don't think it was bad for the Brewers either. I think William Contreras could be a really good catcher. I mean, he made the All-Star game this year over Will Smith. So, I mean, that has to tell you something. So, yeah, I don't think it was a bad trade. I think all teams kind of
works out.
Yeah.
I think if you're going for a World Series next year, then that's the only reason why I went. But if you're going for maybe possibly 10 years, I don't see Ace getting through there. But
no.
The Cardinals did have a signing also, finally. I say that. I mean, they made 2 big trades in the last couple of years, but go out and get Wilson Contreras, not Willem, not to be confused with Willem. Related, though, but not to be confused.
Brothers.
So this was great because, one, the trade that the Cardinals were going to have to do to the A's was ridiculously dumb. Like, please.
Yeah.
And then they go out. So here, this signing did 2 things. One, it replaced. It didn't replace, but it's the succession of Yadier Molina behind the plate. It's a really solid catcher. I know there are some defensive advanced metrics that don't like him. I think we'll get that, be that as it may. He's going to be good, and he's gotten better in those things the last couple of years. This is coming from Cardinals fans, so he's going to spin it to make it sound a little biased. It's fine. The other thing he does is he takes place, not only Yadier Molina, like I said, as catcher, but he also takes Albert Pujols' spot in the line. He did 2 things with 1 signing. So I'm excited to see it. I didn't believe Kisner was ready. I didn't think who we had in the minors was ready either. So for me, great signing. It's not a super long deal either, so I'm fine with it. And it's good. And I love that he honored Molina and he loved the Cardinals. He's wanted to be a Cardinal since since Albert Pujols hit number 695. He's like, all right, so that's what I want to be. And I think the Cubs, I just don't get it what they're doing, and so. They may also sign 2 shortstops, so who knows? Who knows? They might get Correa and Swanson.
I think it was actually 3 things that happened when they signed Contreras. Everything you said, and then on top of that, you just made the Cubs look even dumber for not trading him at the trade deadline. And now on top of that, he goes to your arch rival that now you're going to have to see for the next 5 years. So, that whole situation, I mean, to me, it was just ridiculous. He should have moved on from him at the trade deadline. You had no shot at the playoffs. The fact that you didn't trade him, I thought, I was expecting him to go to the Mets, and if he goes to the Mets, I think there's a good chance that the Mets maybe try to bring him back. But since he doesn't, he was like, okay, I'll go somewhere else, and I'll go to the Cardinals because Yadier Molina. He said it in the press conference. That was my guy growing up. That was my idol. That was my favorite player. So, yeah, I thought it was a great signing. When I saw it, I was like, man. At first, I was like, oh, it's a little bit. And then I was like, I mean, over 5 years, it's really not that bad of a deal at all. And if you baseball, it seems like as you age, your defense gets better as a catcher. And if that can happen for him, it's slowly getting better. So I think that's another thing that they were probably looking at because the Cardinals are so defensive minded when it comes to who they have on that field. And like I said, I think the metrics and stuff for him that this defense has improved over the last few seasons was probably another go. Okay, we got the offense now that we've been Yadi's last couple of seasons offensive wise haven't been very productive. So now you got a productive catcher offensive wise, and you got a decent catcher defensive wise that we expect to keep on getting better defensively. So I thought it was a great signing. Really.
It's a great signing. Yeah, we'll take it all day. I think we're about going to run out of time, so we're going to have to go ahead and wrap up the podcast there. But the good news is free agent season isn't done yet in Major League Baseball. We're going to see more signings. There's still some all-stars potentially out there. So we'll see what happens. And we'll obviously be here to talk about it. So we appreciate y'all coming and hanging out with us a little bit in the live show on YouTube. You can always check us out there. Follow us on Twitter. That one's not the .w.podcast. It's actually the _ because
Yeah.
they don't let you have
Twitter
the
needs
dots.
to fix that.
Come
Yeah,
on now.
yeah, they
Come on,
need to fix that.
Elon.
Come on now. Yeah, I'm gonna message Elon personally and say I need dots, not
Dots,
underscores.
please. Yeah, it would be really help the branding. So
Yeah.
we appreciate that. If you didn't know, we have a YouTube channel. We'd love to see you there. And the last reminder I have, the last absolute reminder is College Bowl Pick'em. If you haven't filled out one, go ahead and do it. It's a lot of fun. You can win. We'll give you a shout out on the podcast, of course. And you can search the W Podcast. I'll put a link in the description of the show as well as on our YouTube page. So make sure you check it out.
Absolutely.
All right. Till then, we will see you all next week.
See ya.
End of broadcast.